turn to local news with Malcolm.
A crack cocaine dealer is serving a 6-year jail sentence after a drug stash worth £24,000 was uncovered in Bush Hill Park. Alex Upton Wright, 40, tried to fling 243 grams of crack cocaine and 280 grams of drug mixing agent into his back garden when officers from Enfield Police Gangs Unit stormed his Lathkill Close address on June the 26th last year. Officers, joined by members of the Territorial Support Group and Dogs Unit, also recovered approximately £7,000 in cash. Wright was arrested at the scene and charged at Enfield Magistrates Court on June the 28th with possession with intent to supply Class A drugs. He was found guilty at Wood Green Crown Court on January the 24th and sentenced the next day. And 3 people have been bailed following a police raid in Enfield Highway. Officers executing a warrant arrested the trio on Friday the February the 1st in Redlands Road. A 45-year-old man was arrested for production and possession of cannabis, a 24-year-old man for possession of cannabis, and a 42-year-old woman for permitting the cultivation and production of cannabis.
More must be done to stop the huge increase in betting shops in some of Enfield's poorest areas, the councillors urged this week. Denise Headley, a Conservative who represents the Bush Hill Park ward, says Enfield Council needs to do more to address the devastating impact of gambling on the borough's poorest communities by limiting the concentration of betting shops in certain areas. Miss Headley has concerns for Edmonton Green, where there are staggering 26 bookmakers, and is warning about the growth of gambling machines known as fixed odds betting terminals, which allow customers to place bets on roulette games and simulated horse races in a betting shop. In Edmonton, the number of betting shops taking money out of poor people's pockets is a huge problem, she said. Each betting shop has around 4 FOBTs. Those are machines that offer an instant gamble, and people can lose lots of money in a short period of time. These are being called the crack cocaine of gambling. In Edmonton, there's a concentration of bookies around 4 Street, and I believe we need a proper understanding of the impact of gambling on poor communities. I want to set up a cross-party working group that looks at ways to tackle the clustering of betting shops, and I'm hoping the Labour administration will support such an initiative. Chris Bond, Cabinet Member for Environment, said, "We can't do much at the moment because it all comes under the Licensing Act, which is national legislation, but we would be happy to raise it at the London councils or lobby London Mayor Boris Johnson to try to get some joint action for a bylaw so that we can restrict the clustering of betting shops. We already have a policy against casinos and fast food outlets within a half a mile of schools, and we certainly are in agreement that something could be done. There are 8 betting shops in 4 Street alone, and Ponders End and Enfield Lock combined are home to no fewer than 19 bookies. Bush Hill Park, by contrast, has just 2 betting shops. Under current legislation, betting shops are grouped alongside banks, estate agents and other financial services, and so can be opened up in buildings previously used as a pub or a cafe without the need for planning permission.
The 3-year driving ban handed to a motorist responsible for the death of a cyclist has been condemned as a slap on the wrist. Father of 4, Frank McGeesha, 41, from Hoe Lane in Enfield Wash, died 6 days after he was struck by 63-year-old driver Jonathan Baird's vehicle in Great Cambridge Road at the junction with White Hart Lane in Tottenham on March 27th last year. Baird, of Margaret Avenue in Waltham Forest, pleaded guilty to causing death by dangerous driving and was banned from driving for 3 years. While at Wood Green Crown Court last month, Baird received a 6-month prison sentence, suspended for 2 years. He was also ordered to pay £500 in costs and undergo 150 hours of underpaid work. However, the victim's friend, Isaac Adams from Enfield Lock, said Mr. Magisha's family are thinking about appealing against the sentence, which he believes does not fit the serious nature of the crime. He said, "I think it is an insufficient sentence. You can't take a life and get a 3-year driving ban. His kids have been left without a father for good. This person has taken away a life from us." Baird will need to pass an extended driving test in 3 years' time if he is to be allowed back on the roads. However, Mr. Adams said the driver should never be reunited with his driving licence. He said, "We were hoping for a sentence that acknowledges the tragedy he caused. That's what justice is about. I am really appalled. There is no justice that could bring back Frank's life, but this sentence is a slap on the wrist. It doesn't fit the crime." Mr. Magisha, who was originally from Uganda, was a sports coach at the Rhino Athletics Club in Enfield. More than 300 people paid their respects to him at Mary Mother of God Catholic Church in Ponders End before his body was repatriated to Uganda.
Just weeks after Enfield Council was forced to shelve plans to extend a primary school in Southgate, a fresh row has broken out over another expansion plan in the borough. Proposals to expand George Spicer have angered residents who fear the plans will lead to gridlock in the narrow residential streets around the school in Southbury Road, Enfield. The council is proposing to permanently expand the school by 60 pupils each year in a bid to tackle the chronic shortage of primary school places in the borough. But residents living in Ladysmith Road, Kimberley Gardens and Craddock Road fear that even with plans to widen entrances to their streets will become choked with parents dropping their children off at school. Concerns grew to such an extent that when Enfield Town Ward councillors Mike Rye, Eric Dukes and Joanne Laban called a public meeting on the issue, more than 70 residents turned up to voice their concerns. Ernest Smith, 74 of Ladysmith Road, told the Advertiser that his street currently has a barrier that means the only way residents can go out is south into Southbury Road or Sketty Road. He said that even now the Sketty Road entrance to the primary school makes that road completely impassable for residents trying to get to work during the morning rush hour, and they are forced to travel down Ladysmith Road to Southbury Road instead. Critics of the plan say that most cars currently travel in one direction along the road, but if parents park in Ladysmith Road, more drivers will come face to face with each other without anywhere to pass, particularly because parents are likely to be driving in the opposite direction to residents. "My concerns aren't about the expansion of a school," said Mr. Smith. "Of course children need somewhere to go to school, but this is about the fact that at this stage it looks as if traffic will be completely gridlocked in the road." The council was unavailable for comment by the time the Advertiser went to press.
Rugby Union. Enfield Ignatians overcame a poor first-half display to secure a 2010 victory at Old Streetonian in London Division 2 North East on Saturday. The visitors trailed 10-0 after 55 minutes, but they finished the match strongly, and tries from skipper Richard Lawrence, Sam Emery and Fausto Podoni, coupled with a conversion and penalty from Jordan Wilson, enabled them to claim the win. Coach Emil Hertz said, "We made a few changes in the second half and were far more forceful and direct. Once we got our tails up, we got better and better." Enfield Ignatians host Holt on Saturday. And in hockey, Southgate's relegation fears intensified on Sunday as they lost 3-0 at Surbiton to remain rooted to the foot of the Premier Division of the English Hockey League. Returning to action following the winter break, Southgate produced a disappointing display to slump to their heaviest defeat of the campaign, with early goals from Tom Merchant and James Tyndall setting Surbiton up for a comfortable victory. The defeat leaves Southgate 5 points adrift of guaranteed safety ahead of a busy weekend which sees them visiting Hampstead and Westminster on Saturday before hosting Reading on Sunday. Meanwhile, Southgate ladies lost 6-1 at Hampstead and Westminster on Saturday in Division 1 of the South League.
News that the entertainment giant HMV is set to stay in Enfield Town will be music to the ears of many fans. Deloitte, the administrators of the troubled chain, confirmed on Thursday that 66 loss-making stores are due to be sold in the next 2 months, putting 930 jobs at risk. But 10 people working in HMV's Church Street store are likely to keep their jobs. Enfield Town Centre manager Mark Rudling said, "This is absolutely brilliant news for Enfield Town. HMV has been in Enfield Town for such a long time. It's one of the most popular stores we have. I'm absolutely delighted. It's a really traditional, popular store that people come to Enfield Town to use." He said the fact that the store has been cherry-picked to stay in favour of others really does reflect well on the town. But jobs are expected to be lost close to home, however, as the branch in Wood Green High Road will close.
4 teenagers have pleaded not guilty to the murder of 15-year-old Negus McLean 2 years ago. Bilal Lariba, 18, of Mile Close, Enfield Lock, Brandon Hamilton, 18, of Broad Oak Avenue, Freezywater, and Tertian Edwards dos Santos, 19, of St Albans, Hertfordshire, all deny murdering Negus. A 16-year-old boy, who cannot be named for legal reasons, has also pleaded not guilty to murder. Hamilton has also been charged with causing grievous bodily harm with intent, but he has not entered a plea. Negus was stabbed to death in Westminster Road, Edmonton, on April the 10th, 2011. The accused appeared at the Old Bailey yesterday morning. A 16-year-old girl, who also appeared at the Old Bailey, pleaded not guilty to perverting the course of justice. The trial is due to start on Monday, April the 8th.
Margaret Adeoye booked her place in next month's European Indoor Championships by winning the 200 metres in impressive fashion at the British Athletics European Trials and UK Championships on Sunday. The Enfield and Haringey AC member clinched victory in Sheffield in 23.22 seconds to finish ahead of Olympic 400-metre silver medalist Christine Ahurugu. The 27-year-old told British Athletics website, "I'm happy. I've trained really hard this year after the Olympics, so things are going well." Meanwhile, Enfield-born Robbie Grabatz showed his form leading into the Gothenburg Championships by winning the high jump by 9 centimetres. The London 2012 bronze medalist cleared 2.31 metres and then passed 2.33 metres to attempt a new British record of 2.39 metres, which he narrowly failed. The 25-year-old European champion said, "I've never had the indoor title, so that was my target today, and then come in and try to get the world lead. It wasn't too bad, but I was just running too fast, so it was the same story as always. It was only my second competition, so to be jumping that high is pretty good. I'm ready to try and break the record. I've been training hard. I've not done too many competitions indoors, so I know that when I come out, I'm ready to go, and today showed that."
Disabled people will be employed to wash cars in an Enfield Borough Council scheme to help them into work. The authority has agreed to launch an eco-car wash in the Palace Gardens multi-storey car park in Enfield Town, with plans to roll it out to other council-owned car parks in the borough if it is a success. The council hopes the Future Clean project will give people with disabilities the chance to gain work experience and training. Councillor Chris Bond, Cabinet Member for the Environment, said, "This scheme will help people with disabilities into employment during a difficult economic period, encourage people into the town centre, and improve security in the car park. So there are a whole range of social, environmental and economic benefits to this scheme. This initiative demonstrates our commitment to improving our town centres and supporting our traders as part of Enfield Council's wider strategy of improving and enhancing the borough's economy and providing jobs and training for its residents. The Green Scheme uses biodegradable cleaning products and less than 500 millilitres of filtered rainwater to wash an average-sized car. Enfield Disability Action Chief Executive Officer Aaron Dryden welcomed the Council's plans. He said, "We hope that this initiative challenges the perceptions of some employers about recruiting disabled people and opens up new opportunities. Adults with learning difficulties who attend our self-advocacy group tell us that it's hard to find work and that they really enjoy work placements and new opportunities.
A dead dog was discovered in the ruins of a house devastated by fire. Nobody was injured in the fire in Bradley Road in Enfield Lock on Tuesday, February the 5th, but firefighters discovered the pet inside the house. 2 fire engines from Enfield Fire Station were called just before 4 p.m. and the fire was extinguished half an hour later. The cause of the blaze, which damaged part of the property's ground floor, is under investigation. The dog is the second in Enfield to have died in a fire in just over a week. The first was discovered in a living room of a flat in All Saints Close in Lower Edmonton after fire broke out there on January the 27th.
On January the 30th, we reported that Christopher Egan, 21, of no fixed abode, had leaned over the counter of a newsagent's shop in Enfield Lock in an attempt to grab the till in August last year. This information was given to us by the police. It has since been brought to our attention that it was in fact Sam Ferruzzi, 20, of Lincoln Way, who tried to grab the till and not Egan. Both men, along with a third, were involved in a struggle with the shopkeeper. Egan and Ferruzzi pleaded guilty to attempted robbery at Wood Green Crown Court on January the 24th and were both jailed for 18 months. No charges were brought against the third man. A police spokeswoman said, "We apologise for the initial incorrect information provided."
Gardeners claim arsonists are creating a climate of fear for allotment users around the borough. Bill Chapman, chairman of the Alma Road allotments in Ponders End, says vandals had set fire to 13 allotment sheds and broke into another 14 since March last year. The 72-year-old believes the nighttime attacks could be linked to 8 fires started in plots in Green Street in Enfield Highway over Christmas, as reported in the Enfield Independent last month. He said, "Someone knows what he is doing. It's someone who gets a kick out of burning sheds. I think it could be related to plot fires in Green Street. We haven't had anything since 3 weeks ago, but it looks as if he has got hold of a lighter somewhere and gone up there. There is no real evidence that anything has been stolen. It's a funny business. It looks as if it's just mischief making." He said one allotment holder was heartbroken after his shed was burnt down twice during the arson attacks. Although the fires have abated and been reported to the police, Mr. Chapman is concerned they could soon start again if the culprit is not found. With almost 120 sheds on the site, a fire could be devastating if it was to spread. He said, "It's such a shame when somebody has been working so hard growing food in their plot for it to be destroyed by an act of vandalism." Helen Tumazu travels from her home in Chingford every day in the summer to grow vegetables. The 58-year-old said, "It is very upsetting. There is nothing much we can do about it because it is happening in the night. We can't be there 24/7. We all worry about it because we have all got sheds up there, and every time we go, we think, is my shed still there? We don't know what to do." People pay Enfield Borough Council £79 a year to keep a plot, with pensioners paying £49 annually.
Fitness enthusiasts looking for childcare can make use of 2 new creches in leisure centres in Enfield. The facilities are open in Albany Leisure Centre in Hertford Road and Southgate Leisure Centre in Winchmore Hill Road. Councillor Bambus Charalambus, Cabinet Member for Culture and Leisure, said, "It's very important to stay fit, but when you have young children, it's sometimes hard to arrange care for them when you want to pop out to go to the gym or have a swim. With the fantastic new creche facilities, there's no excuse whatsoever to put off joining the gym or signing up for those exercise classes. Gym members can use the Albany creche between 9 a.m. and midday on Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and the Southgate services from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. A 90-minute session costs £5.
Proposals for a new railway line connecting Cheshunt with central London and Surrey were tabled last week. Crossrail 2 would see trains from Hertford East stopping at Cheshunt, Tottenham Hale, Hackney and Victoria, and going on to stations such as Surbiton and Shepperton in Surrey. The £12 billion plans have been put forward by Task Force London First in a bid to ease the strain on the London Underground system. There are two options for the new route, but only option B includes the extended route to Cheshunt. This is the preferred option put forward by London First, chaired by former Transport Secretary Lord Adonis. Transport for London backs the scheme, but says it'll wait until a consultation on the plans has been completed in the spring before lending support to either of the options. Crossrail 2 follows on from Crossrail 1, which is currently under construction and will run from east to west. It'll link Maidenhead in Berkshire with Enfield in Essex and Abbey Wood in South East London, running through the heart of the capital, and is due to be completed in 2018. The second scheme is aimed at linking North and South London. Lord Adonis said the new line would boost the economy across the Lee Valley region. He said Crossrail 2 would also relieve commuter rail lines in south-west and north-east London, including services to Kingston, Surbiton, Twickenham, Hackney and on to Hertford. It'll halve many journey times into central London and boost capacity at several of the busiest London rail termini and interchange stations. It'll also spur regeneration in Lee Valley, a huge area for new housing and businesses, just as the Jubilee line did in Docklands. According to research carried out by London First, journeys from Cheshunt to Tottenham Court Road in central London will be reduced by 8 minutes if Crossrail 2 is given the green light.
Following revelations last year that children in Enfield are the fattest in London, the council has stepped up its war on obesity. The borough's leisure centres are offering free gym and swimming sessions for under 16s during next week's half-term holiday. Between February 16th and 24th, Albany Leisure Centre in Hertford Road, Enfield Highway, Edmonton Leisure Centre in the Broadway, Edmonton, Southbury Leisure Centre in Southbury Road, Enfield, and Southgate Leisure Centre in Winchmore Hill Road are offering free gym sessions for youngsters between 14 and 16 and free swimming for anyone aged under 16. Enfield Council says the initiative is aimed at extending the legacy of the 2012 Olympics. Bambos Sheralambos, Cabinet Member for Culture and Leisure, said, "Take the kids down to your local Fusion Leisure Centre this half-term and make use of the free swimming and gym offer. It will keep them occupied and get them fit at the same time." For full details and to apply for a swim and gym card, visit any of the leisure centres or log on to www.enfield-leisure.com.
Enfield Town again fell just short in their attempts to get points against one of the top sides in the Ryman Premier Division as they lost 2-1 at home to Wealdstone on Saturday. Although Town have been competitive in the vast majority of the matches in their first season at this level, with the notable exception of a 4-3 win at Canvey Island 3 months ago, they have struggled to avoid defeat when facing teams in the higher reaches of the table. And that was again the case over the weekend, as they ended up with nothing to show for their efforts, despite being more than a match for the side who currently lie in 4th place. After a scoreless first half, Wes Parker headed Wealdstone into the lead on 50 minutes, and although Tyler Campbell equalised 9 minutes later, Alex Dyer grabbed what proved to be the winner for the visitors with 17 minutes left. "I felt that we were very unfortunate not to get anything from the game," said Town manager Steve Newing. "We were the better side in the first half, and after they made a strong start to the second half, we did well to get back level, and the last 30 minutes were pretty even. We're disappointed that we didn't get at least a point." In a way, that has been the story of our season against the top sides. There have been at least 5 or 6 games where we have given as good as we've got and ended up losing by the odd goal. We've just got to go and keep on playing like that, and we will be fine.
The borough's first support group, specifically for parents of children suffering from ADHD, has been set up in Edmonton. Charity Enfield Parents and Children, which is based in the Ark in Montague Road, decided to set up the support group in response to a growing demand from parents who currently have to travel to Barnet for help. According to the charity, 5% of Enfield school children suffer from attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, a condition which affects attention spans and can lead to severe mood swings and hyperactive erratic behaviour. Until now, the charity points out, there has been nowhere in Enfield where parents can meet and discuss treatments and coping methods and to share personal experiences of the condition. The sessions for parents start on Wednesday, March the 6th at the charity's premises in Edmonton and run from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Special needs consultant Abir Kabariti, who will lead the sessions, said, "When managed at an early stage, many of the childhood problems of ADHD can be coped with, and it's possible to have a useful, independent adult life. This group aims to provide sufficient information and enable parents to share their experiences to learn new ways which allow for change." Dee Eimer, Chief Executive of Enfield Parents and Children, stressed that the support group is desperately needed in the borough. And she added, "As an addition to the current services we run, we welcome all parents and carers to this new support group. The sessions will be free, but attendance needs to be registered by calling Enfield Parents and Children on 020-8373-2730. That's 020-8373-2730. Future dates for ADHD support group meetings are April the 24th, May the 22nd, June the 19th, and July the 3rd.
The Bull Theatre in Barnet will play host to rock royalty next week when a concert is staged to raise money to repair the venue's roof. Managers of the theatre in High Street, High Barnet are aiming to raise £25,000 for the new roof. And the second of two fundraising concerts is taking place on Friday, February the 22nd. The Deborah Bonham Band, led by the sister of legendary Led Zeppelin drummer, the late John Bonham, will be heading the show. Steve Rogers, the son of free singer Paul Rogers and singer-songwriter Toby, are also due to perform on the night. Deborah became involved in the charity gig through her friendship with Steve, who knows the people who run the Bull. She said, "I think it's going to be a great night. It's going to be very diverse. There's quite a connection between all of the people playing that night." Steve will be doing his set, and he's phenomenal. He has an amazing voice. Our show is real blues, country. It's very emotional. There's going to be quite a bit from the new album Spirit, which is going to be released in April, and there'll be lots from previous albums. Next week's charity gig will kick off a world tour for Deborah and her band, who will be playing at venues across Europe and America, as well as around the UK. She said that having John Bonham, credited as one of the best rock drummers of all time, as a brother, was a huge influence on her childhood and her musical career. "I grew up in a house of music," she said. "It was so lovely to be exposed to a wealth of music, although I was only 6 years old when John joined Led Zeppelin. I was very much the baby sister, but they had a huge influence on me. Even when I was little, I used to make my friends listen to Led Zeppelin."
We've reached the end of our programme for this week.